Hello everyone, I'm Mark Sane and welcome to Sane Investment Solutions. Please take a moment to pause this video and review the following disclaimer. Thank you for that. Welcome to week 27 of the Forex market review. That's the 27th week in the year 2017. Now, what we're going to do is look at a few pairs that are coming up and a couple pairs that look like they were going to deliver, but then the trade confirmation went against us and no entry was confirmed and therefore no trades were taken. So without any ado, let's jump straight to the charts. The first pair we're going to look at today is the Euro Pound. The Euro Pound we've been watching for quite a few weeks now, and it just hasn't given us our entry confirmation at this stage. We are noticing that the daily stochastic is starting to come in the oversold area, so it's very likely it could have a bit of a pullback before pushing lower and then giving our entry confirmation. However, on the 4-hour chart, we still have our divergence, and that's the higher high in price with the lower AO. So as long as we still have that, we still are looking to go short the market. So as you can see, price is stepped up from that point to that point. We're not including this point because this point is not higher than this point. Divergence has to occur between one point and the next point going higher. Now if you wanted to, you could use these points in here and you would look there, and if I zoom in a little bit just to see where those numbers are coming up, here we're looking around 4284 and here we're looking at 4266. So it definitely is slightly lower AO with the higher high price, so that is still an entry confirmation between those points. But I like to use the most extreme. So that was the most extreme, and then this one's the next one after it. This is just a bit of a bounce in between. We then need to see it pull down enough. It hasn't pushed down enough for my liking. I'd like to come a bit more closer to this 4-hour 200 EMA line before pushing back up. And on the 1-hour chart, you can see this large move down here, and it's just been stagnating a little bit. So if it's likely to push back up and then push back lower, and then I would start looking for an entry confirmation. But that's one that's still on my radar. Pound CAD is a new one that's appeared on our radar. You can see it's come back down into this DSR support zone. So if you look left and you just find roughly where prices sort of bounce in between, you can see it's come down and tested that area there. That's if you don't have this DSR indicator yourself. You can just look left and just look to see where it's bounced numerous amounts of times for your support and resistance areas. Drop down to the 4-hour chart. We now have our divergence where the price is stepping down and the AO is stepping up. So it's got to come back to the zero line and give us clear divergence. Some people say, oh, why don't I look at the point here and this point here? It came back to zero line. But if you look at that low there, it didn't break this low here. So all of this move before it went back above the line, I need to consider all of that move down there, and that's the next one. So the only one after this point is this one here, and that's why we're looking at those two positions. You can use here to here because it makes no difference. This entire move is one hump. So you look for the most extreme of that hump until it's come back above zero line. So there's our divergence. So now we just need a nice move to the upside, like this large AO here. So because I can see this, to me it's probably a 1 or an A, B, C, and then a 1, 2, down for 3, possibly a small pullback for 4, and then down for 5. So this possibly is one more move lower on the pound CAD. But if it does start pushing back up to these levels here, that will definitely form a nice large AO on the 1 hour chart and call this move failed 5, and it's now reversing to the upside. So that's what I'm watching for. Doesn't worry me if it does one more move lower, as once it pulls all the way back up to these levels here and gives me my criteria to look lower, then I'll be looking for that entry to go long. New Zealand USD, we've been watching this one for a while. It's been bouncing around in this DSR zone. It's been pushing up, giving us our higher highs and lower AOs at the step down. Because there's no entry confirmation just yet, we just look at our current moves, and we still have our divergence with a higher high in price, lower AO, coming back to below zero line before making a lower low. I really need it to push back a lot lower, so you can see that DSR box. Until it really pushes down through that DSR box, at the moment it's just hovering in between it. I'm not going to be looking for my push back higher. On the 1 hour chart, you could probably argue that this could be the first large AO to the downside. You'd be right, but because it hasn't fallen enough on the higher time frame, I'm not looking at that at this stage. If it does cause a wave 5 of a divergence to the downside, I'll just be looking for this entire move. I'd be looking for a pullback for the minimum 38.2. So if it does do this, I'd be looking for that entire move pullback on the higher time frame. But if it doesn't, then what we can probably look at is this may push back up to these level here and be classed as wave 1 up for 2, and then we're likely to see a large move down with an even bigger AO than this one, a nice big one, and then I'd be looking for my pullback and then looking at selling it and going shorter. USD yen is looking for a selling opportunity. Hasn't come up into this DSR zone just yet, but looking back here, and then we just look back here, we can see a couple of points of where it may find some support and resistance areas. So I'll just be watching for this one. I really need to see it make a nice decent pull down before looking for that pullback on the lower time frame, the 1 hour chart. As you can see, it's got a nice large AO to the upside, so it's very likely it could be a up for 1, down for 2. Very hard to see in this small area, but there's probably a 1, down for 2, up for 3. When we're looking at AOs, we wait till it comes back to the zero line, then we look for the most extreme point. That's the end of the wave 3, and we go all the way back to the beginning of the AO, and roughly here is the start of wave 3. So it's very likely A, B, C, 1, 2, 3, down for 4, up for 5. So just like we had on the pound CAD, doesn't worry me if we make that one more move higher. Until I see this decent pullback, the trend has not changed and I'm not looking at getting in just yet. But because we have our divergence, as long as divergence remains on the 4 hour chart with our higher high in price and lower AO, I'm fine to monitor this trade, looking to short the position sometime in the future. Now, WS30, or the US Stock Exchange Top 30, this one's given us quite a few confirmations. So in this band here, we've had a confirmation to go short, then another so roughly about here to go short, another confirmation, this one went to go long, another one to go short, and then it went back up, didn't confirm to go long, and then now we're looking at going short again. However, in between those sessions, because the moves are large, when it pulled down to give us a large AO, we wanted to look for an entry position, and as it came back to its minimum 38.2, it didn't fall enough to give me my confirmation. So it just kept on pushing back higher, 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 and it just didn't fall enough to get me in. And then it just switched and changed directions. So you would have seen on our Twitter feed that we just cancelled that trade. But based on the rules, we still have our divergence with our higher high in price and our lower AO. So again, we're not worrying about these levels here at this stage. So because we have that confirmation, until we see another decent pushback lower and then the pullback, as long as our entry confirmation occurs before it pushing back again too much higher, we'll take the trade. But if it doesn't and just comes back its minimum 38.2 and then looks at starting to go lower, we'll be looking at that position. And remember, when you're looking to take a trade, you use your Fibonacci expansion tool. So your retracement tool is to look for the pullback of minimum 38.2, and the expansion tool is to see how far it will go. And generally you look at getting out before the 61.8 if you can get your 1 for 2, or the Fib expansion 100 level. Moving to break even when it gets to this level, so that you don't risk the money if it does reverse on you. Because at these points here, especially if they match up with some horizontal support areas on a lower time frame, that's where it's likely to turn. Another trade is the Aussie USD. This is not an official trade for the Aussie USD. It hasn't fallen enough. So we had this nice decent candle there, almost confirmed for me, but as you can see, it's still in this uptrending path. So for me, I needed more of a pullback. Do I have my divergence? I mean, if I use the extreme highs, I do. Higher high in price and lower AO. But what I'm really hoping for is a pushes a bit more lower, and then I'll look at getting in, or I might push back up similar to the New Zealand USD for its 1, 2, and then start pushing back lower. So just remember, before getting in, it might have fallen enough. Have whatever rules you follow. I like to see it break some support resistance zones, and it's only come back and tested it. So until it breaks it, I'm not really interested in it. But on the 1 hour chart, we definitely have a large AO. So we probably could look at 1, 2, 3, and you could be looking for a pullback, but it's gonna probably struggle to break this zone. So if you do take it, consider tight stop losses and bringing the break even before these lows again. But for myself, as I suggested, it hasn't fallen enough or broken this DSR support area before I want to start looking for a short position. For me, it's not an official trade as per the other 5 we just looked at. So thank you for that. That was week 27 of the Forex market review. If you would like any free training from our US affiliated partners, you can jump onto the free training section on our website. Click on that, and then you can enter into the grey or the 2618 strategy. Both of these are free training videos from our US partner. The 2618 is a good one. What it does, it waits to it has a double top at some type of a resistance area or a double bottom at a support area, then look for a breakout and a pullback. Similar to what I use, but it's a slightly different strategy. And under the training courses is where you can find the DSR. If you would like to purchase that, that's in the US dollar amount. So here at Zealand Investment Solutions, we wish you all the best in your success. Take care. Bye-bye.